How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a story time of a kid who took TikTok brain rot just a little bit too far. And by a little bit too far, I mean actually getting suspended from school from refusing to speak like a normal human. You guys might be thinking that the title seems absolutely ludicrous. Like, no way a kid got suspended from school for saying, what the Sigma? Like, no way a kid actually got suspended. But just listen to the story. It actually makes more and more sense because this kid is like, not only has TikTok brain rot, but is actually insane. So yeah, with that being said, leave a like in the video right now to claim your free nothing. Limited time offer, pretty good. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So anyways, TikTok brain rot, man, it's a real thing. It's not good. And the youth these days, man, I sound like an 80-year-old man saying the youth. Kind of sounds like I'm about to say back in my day. Well, back in my day, we had plenty internet brain rot in our own rights, but somehow this is worse. Like, it's kind of funny that, I don't know, I feel like people who grew up in my generation of like 2016, 2017 internet, like we had plenty of stupid things that we said, but for some reason, this generation's just like the brain rot is worse. And I can't tell if it's this old man syndrome from my end or if it is genuinely worse. Either way, that really doesn't matter. In fact, that kind of doesn't matter at all. What's important is that recently, brain rot has just gotten really bad. Like, I think it was brought onto us from a Skibbity toilet, which, oh my God, like, the highest form of art, the highest form of just intellectual deliciousness is Skibbity toilet, of course, man. But it's kind of just gone downhill from there. I think, honestly, also with like short form content, TikTok, all that kind of stuff, I think the whole internet is slowly collapsing in on itself. I also think that TikTok might be contributing to like the aggregate IQ shifting to the left. And if we're not careful, like, imagine raising a child with an iPad and all they watch is Skibbity toilet, and they go to their first day of school, and the teacher is like, "What's your name?" And they just say, "What the Sigma? My name is Skibbity." Like, if you get to that point, I think your child is done. Might as well try and get pregnant or something, because you got to just start over at this point. It's so over. Little bit of a tangent, but we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story, we're going to call him Jack. And anyways, in Jack's class, there's a kid, and we're going to call this kid Ben. Because, of course, we're going to call this kid Ben. If you've been around this channel for a second, you already know that the secondary kid, his name is always Ben. It just always is Ben. Don't ask me why. It just always is Ben. It used to just be a placeholder name, and I'd switch it up every once in a while, but after I got really lazy and always called the secondary character Ben, I've just made it a thing on the channel, and it keeps my life simple. So anyways, Ben has been exposed to way too much TikTok brain rot. Like, way too much. Like, he's watching like 8 hours of like funny moment, Vine, boom, sound effects, Skibbity toilet compilation videos on TikTok every single day. So when I say his brain is melting, I mean his brain might legitimately be melting. Like, no way that your neurons aren't dying off in your cranium if you're sitting there watching Skibbity Toilet Part 85 compilations every single day. But anyways, one day, Ben comes in, and he must have been on, like, some kind of insane TikTok binge, where all he listened to were, like, these videos where, like, okay, so there's, like, this whole, like, Sigma male looks maxing. It's, like, it used to be, like, a thing on the internet. Like, in 2018, there was, like, a sub-community of people who would be like, are you a alpha male or are you a Sigma male? It's like, bro, if you're watching these videos, you're probably neither, even though neither of those probably exist. If it's the case, if you're watching a top 10, like, do you like Sigma or Alpha? Like, bro, if you're watching that video, like, do your homework, Timmy. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Anyways, though, so yeah, that used to be kind of like a thing in 2018, and recently the internet's, like, completely memed it to death. So recently there's been, like, this video edit going around of, like, someone who sounds like Squidward saying, what the Sigma? And it's just so stupid. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed a few times just because of how genuinely stupid it was. Like, there's some things that are just cranked up to, like, the nth degree of stupidity, which honestly is why they're kind of funny. But anyways, yeah, so I think that this kid, Ben, must have watched like 8 hours straight of what the Sigma, like TikTok videos. Like, buddy probably had 0 seconds of sleep, which honestly, being on 0 seconds of sleep and kind of forcing yourself to watch 8 hours of TikTok brain rot compilations might actually explain why he did what he did in this story. Like, I think I might actually go insane, too, if I was in that situation. Sleep deprivation plus TikTok cringe compilate. Like, I don't know. I think there's a certain point where my brain would actually melt. Anyways, though, so yeah, sure enough, right, the subscriber walks into school. I think I called him Jack in this video. So Jack comes into school, and Ben had always been, like, a slightly awkward kid who was, like, kind of cringy. Like, Jack's not even trying to be, like, disrespectful here, but just, like, bro was just, like, low-key a little bit cringy sometimes. Like, I don't know. Like, is that the worst thing ever? No. Like, he could be a serial killer. See, it could be worse. But he just happened to be kind of cringe. But he had never done anything like this. So he comes into class, and the teacher is like, oh, hey, Ben. Because Ben comes in a little late. Like, make sure to, like, sit down quickly. Like, you're a little bit late. Because, you know, he doesn't want him interrupting the rest of the class, which, I mean, he was about to do. And Ben is like, raises one finger up, is like, what the Sigma? And like turns to the class, expecting everyone to be like, oh, ha ha ha, that's so funny. Spoiler, it was dead silent. No one thought that was funny. And you know why they didn't think that was funny? Because it wasn't funny. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't funny. No one laughed. No one thought it was funny. No one thinks they're funny. End of story. Like, I don't know. So Ben just kind of like sits down, and the teacher's like, okay, I guess. So yeah, anyways, class goes on, and then in the middle, so the teacher's like explaining something. He's doing some like presentation on the board, and out of nowhere, you just hear, what the Sigma, and everyone like turns to look, and it's Ben, who's sitting kind of in the front row, and the teacher stops what they're doing, because it wasn't like Ben whispered this. He said it like full volume. He just said, what the Sigma, like, full volume. So everyone, like, turns to him and is like, dude, what the hell? Like, what? And, like, I think one kid laughed, not necessarily because of, like, oh, my God, that was so funny. Like, that was comedic genius, bro. But kind of just, like, this kid actually might, he might have something wrong with him. I don't know how else to say it. So the teacher's like, hey, Ben, please don't interrupt me. Like, I don't know, he's like mid, yeah, I mean, that's fair, right? I mean, the teacher was mid trying to explain something, and Ben's like, what the Sigma? Like, I don't know, I think I'd be a little like, hey, shut up, bro. And Ben's response was, he throws one finger up, and Jack in the back of the class is like, oh no. And he responds, what the Sigma again. I'm not going to keep saying it in that voice. It really pains me to say it in that voice, so you can just imagine it in that voice. Yeah, sorry, guys, I can only do so much for you. So the teacher then goes on to just be like, can you, like, Ben, can you stop? And then Ben, who thinks he's like so funny, and I think he's so sleep deprived that he might genuinely think that this is the funniest bit I've ever heard. Oh my God, you're so funny. Like, he might actually think that's true. So then he responds again, what the Sigma, which, at this point, the teacher's like, Ben, please, like, if you can't, like, not be a distraction to everyone, please remove yourself. So now it got, like, really awkward. Like, it was just really awkward in the room, because it was like the teacher was getting, like, low-key upset because, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's stupid. Like, he's saying, what the Sigma? Like, that's obviously stupid. But the point is, he's interrupting, like, you know, he's interrupting class. And at a certain point, it doesn't matter if you're saying something profound or if you're saying, what the Sigma, the other end of the spectrum of profoundness, right? It doesn't really matter what you're saying. If you're interrupting class and not, like, adding to the discussion, you're being just you're just interrupting it. You're just distracting people. And the teacher's repeatedly asking you to shut up, basically, and you don't. Well, yeah, it's going to be a problem. So then all of a sudden, Ben just starts okay. It went from saying it to screaming, like, what the Sigma? Like, he just starts screaming. So at this point, it's just really, really uncomfortable. It's one of those situations where someone thinks they're being really funny, and they're like, guys, laugh, please, whatever, I don't know. It's like, guys, this is so funny, right? And it's just genuinely not funny. Like, it's the worst, too, because you know that they're trying to get a laugh, and, you know, they're trying to be, it's the prankster of the class. Oh, he's such a class clown. He's so funny, guys. But it's just genuinely not funny. And saying with the Sigma the first time, it wasn't funny, but it somehow got less funny each time. And it was 0% funny the first time. So actually, low-key a little impressive that it got less funny over time when it started at 0. So I guess kudos to that. But yeah, he just started screaming it, which in the very beginning was uncomfortable from the start, but it just got so much more uncomfortable when you start screaming that stuff. And the teacher's like, Ben, if you don't quiet down right now, like I'm gonna send you to the front desk. Like you need to stop. And Ben thought that this was like, okay, in Ben's mind, he's like, you know what would be the funniest thing ever? If I didn't stop and I doubled down twice as hard and screamed even louder and didn't listen to him. So everyone in the class, they're just really uncomfortable at this point. And Ben just like starts screaming even louder. So at this point, the teacher's like, Ben, like, that's it. You're going to the principal's office for disrupting class. And Ben just ignores him. I guess in Ben's mind, it'd be really funny if instead of listening to the teacher, sending him to the principal's office, that he would literally just sit there and continuing to scream what the sigma. Like, I really don't. I think part of it was like, I bet bro was sleep deprived. I bet something was up because, like, dude, I don't know. Or maybe just like watching that many TikTok, like, brain rot compilations actually does just decompose your brain to the point where you thought that that'd be really funny and you just can't perceive anyone else's social interactions or social cues. Like, that might genuinely be the case, guys. Like, I'm not even kidding. So eventually the teacher gets to the point like, man, if you don't go to like the front office right now, like I'm going to have to call like security. And Ben thinks in his, I don't know, his brain rot state, he thinks, you know, it'd be so hilarious if security dragged me away while I was screaming what the sigma, right? So at this point, Jack is sitting in the back of the class, just like, please, begging, not verbally, but just like pleading with the universe to get Ben to shut up for 2 seconds because it's so painfully unfunny, so like cringeworthy and just uncomfortable for everyone in this situation that he just wants it to end for everyone for the sake of everyone's mental health and well-being. Like, it genuinely got to that point. So sure enough, right, security comes in. And the teacher doesn't even really need to point out who's being a problem because the problem, Ben, is being very vocal about it. And yeah, sure enough, like the security officer like escorts Ben out of the room, and Ben kind of like turns to look at everyone to see if they're going to be like laughing and slapping their knees and being like, dude, this Ben guy is so funny. We should hang out with him. Spoiler again, that's not the case. No one said that. No one thought that. No one thinks that. And Ben actually got suspended for 1 day. Not a crazy suspension, but for being like the most disruptive kid ever and being a huge problem and derailing the entire class, getting security involved. And when he came back to class, let me just say that I think his parents must have either metaphorically or actually whipped his butt, bro, because he did not say a word for weeks.